Well, we don't even have a single picture on the wall of our kids. I think we have 16 deer heads in the living room. That's not counting the skull
people
mounts.
With pictures are just bad hunters.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm feeling good about myself right now, man. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast, powered by DeerCast and First Form Energy, hosted by two young men who have literally nothing to prove.
Nothing to lose either.
Yeah.
We're just broke.
Yeah, that's right. Those are the smooth tones of Matt Drury over there.
Tim Kjellesvik, and we got a couple special in-studio guests with us today.
Yeah, we got Holly and Kelly Turner from Southern Illinois.
So Kelly's been on the podcast a few times before. He's one of the stars of Critical Mass. And he's in shooting some interviews for the new season. So we figured, what the hell? Let's have him on the podcast. And what we noticed last time when he was in last summer, I guess it would have been last summer, is that Holly had all of the stories. She had all the energy. She was the shining light here, the star, the real star, right, Kelly?
Like the Tim Kjellesvik of the podcast.
That's right, exactly. So we said, we got to get her on. So Holly,
he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me, though. I chased you down.
That's right. That is a good story. So we're at ATA years and years ago. What
2017?
2017.
Okay.
It was 16 ATA.
No, it was 17 ATA.
So we're sitting there and especially back then, the ATA was a hopping, show. Like everybody was there. Anybody was at that show, all the industry people. And it was really always busy, very, very busy show. And so back then, Mark and Terry would be, all of our partners would always have them like in their booth signing autographs or meet and greets and stuff like that. And I remember, we were just leaving either a meeting or a meet and greet or something like that.
Yeah, you were leaving.
And you guys, Kelly, Holly stopped me and she's like, hey, I remember she said something like, hey, I got a big deer killer, your next star or something, like very confident. I remember the confidence part of it. and here Kelly was on the side there. They had, they had all the proof. I don't remember if you guys showed me your phone, like some video on your phone.
Yeah.
And he was killing big deer and, producing all his content and all that good stuff. And so that was the beginning of it. But yeah, Holly was very confident in Kelly's abilities.
Well, when you have to sit around and look at the walls at my house.
Let's do something with this deep and abiding passion.
We have no pictures of our kids. Like none.
Who needs that?
They're all deer heads.
Don't you feel bad about that? Like when you go through your phone and you're kind of scrolling through your phone gallery and you're like, oh, where are my kids at?
Well, we don't even have a single picture on the wall of our kids. I think we have 16 deer heads in the living room. That's not counting the skull mounts.
With pictures are just bad hunters.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm feeling good about myself right now, man.
That's a good line. People with pictures are just bad hunters. Right. I had a lot of pictures.
I think that's about all the time we have for today, guys.
So were you producing for another show before then, or what were you doing before that?
I started off with Jesse and Ginger Moorhead back in 2006 with Hunter Safety System was the main sponsor. It was called Staying Safe. I left them and went with a show called Full Draw Adventures, and then left Full Draw Adventures and went with Moultrie's The Hit List.
That show I recall.
Yeah.
The Hit List. That was a pretty big show, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I was with them for actually only 1 year, and then I think Pradco ended up selling that or stopping that or something like that. So that's when the two kills that I showed you at the ATA was for the Hit List, and they never aired. I mean, it was like a 159 and a 168. Perfect, wonderful footage, and none of it ever aired.
Yeah, that kills you when that shit happens. It's like, oh man, all this work.
Can you imagine how we would excel at a show called like the Hunter Safety Systems would put on? You just end the hunt and be like, "Yep, I'm safe, I'm good, uninjured. Let's do it again."
That's right.
That's how every hunt
didn't fire an arrow. Honey, it was a successful hunt.
The Hit List, on the other hand, that may have been a trouble.
I got more pictures on the other side of the farm tonight.
So you joined that first year would have been the first Critical Mass,
yes.
or
first
so
year.
Right out of the gate, you're in the first season of Critical Mass.
Archery tag.
Yeah. You go from real archery to archery tag.
Yeah.
Right. How'd you do that first season?
Terrible.
Tough season.
It was the only year since 1994 that I hadn't killed a nice deer in Illinois.
Sure. That's what happens.
I ended up having to go to Texas and shot a deer.
That's right.
They was really excited about it. It's like, that's a good deer. That's a mature deer. I'm like, okay. I mean, it was like this big, but hey, whatever. I got one.
That's so the confidence that Holly came in with, then the first season, it's like, shit.
I bombed it.
That's what happens to so many people that join the team. That's a pretty common, like, we don't think anything of it. I mean, that seems to be what happens. Like,
but the pressure's on as the new guy.
Huge.
Like, I got to prove myself here and nothing.
Well, I remember because I went through November and I got into December, and then Mark started calling me, and I'm like, oh gosh. He's like, well, how you doing? I'm like, terrible. I mean, I don't have any deer. I have nothing. And he was like, just shoot a bunch of does.
I was like, oh boy.
All right. So then I ended up getting on a deer like late in the season and almost killed him one evening. He was coming out of a grown up thicket on the edge of a pond levee coming through this pinch point. And I went in there and hung a stand while he was bedded in there, I'm sure. Well, I know he was because he came out of it that evening. But anyway, hung a stand in there. He come out, ended up by the time he got to me, it was too dark. So I had to let him walk. The next day, I'm like, all right, you're dying. Because the weather was better the next day. He stood up out of his bed, walked out of that pond levee, and one side was gone.
What? What time of year?
January.
Oh, yeah.
Just brutal. That's pretty much encompasses your season.
Yep, that's right.
That's stuff you can fix in post, I think.
Now you probably could with AI.
Something looks a little off about that buck.
So, Holly, is he crabby when this is going on? Is it the demeanor just go way downhill real quick?
Yes. Very much so.
Allegedly.
Yes. Allegedly. No. Yes. Very much. He's very hard on himself when he's not producing what he feels like he needs to produce.
Yeah.
When he's not hunting or he hasn't killed yet or whatever. He's very, very hard on himself. Even the year before, not this last year when I killed the year before that. I mean, he was texting me, "Matt, I'm quitting this. I'm never doing this again." I was like, just stop looking at cameras and just hunt like you used to hunt.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about I'm not getting any pictures. I said, you didn't get pictures 20 years ago.
That stuff can't
You just went and killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's more of a deer than a deer's a deer.
So you're his voice of reason.
Well, someone has to be.
So certainly the support system, right?
Yeah.
And you got to be pretty understanding because you're not just a deer hunter, but turkey, waterfowl, like you're hitting, you're going out west, aren't you, this year? Yeah. Like you're into it. Yeah. Everything, anything. Whatever. So you got to have a pretty understanding wife and home life. Otherwise, it can be pretty tough.
Yeah.
31 years.
Woo. So I think last time you were here, you kind of mentioned how you met each other. Like you knew her dad, or you were.
I was hunting.
We met in school, in high school.
It was probably my freshman year, and I was hunting with our baseball coach. His family had a cabin, and so we went to stay at this cabin, and there was like Shawnee Forest around it, So we was just hunting the public hunting, and this guy was staying at the cabin, and we walked in there, and we're like, "What's clothes and stuff everywhere? What's going on?" And my coach is like, "I have no idea who it is. Maybe somebody."
Real creepy.
There were several owners of the cabin.
Rapey vibe.
Yeah. So when it gets dark, this guy comes in and we meet him.
Even worse.
Hey, we saw your pants on the couch. I'm Kelly.
Yeah. It's like, and ended up being her dad.
So I found out.
A big hunter.
Like the following week, I guess was the first time we'd ever talked on the phone. We had seen each other in school, but we weren't dating or anything. And he called me and starts telling me like what he had done the weekend, and he had been hunting and stayed at this cabin, and he met this weird guy and blah, blah, blah. He's like, his clothes were hanging outside. He had like all this. And I said, well, where were you at? And he told me, and I said, well, who was the guy? And he said his name, and I was like, that's my dad. Like, that's my dad. He was like, no. I was like, that's my dad. Yeah. So I was born, and my dad was a taxidermist when I was younger. So I've been around hunting my whole life. Yeah. That's all I've ever known is hunting and taxidermy.
That helps.
I mean, the understanding nature of it. Yeah. So have you hunted a lot, or because this past fall you killed a great deer?
So, up until 2017, I hunted everything all the time.
So until he started hunting with us, then it stopped.
No, it's just, what the hell, Kelly? He stopped really on her own because, let me tell you, there's nobody on the planet that's had worse luck than she has.
Yeah.
I mean, at big deer,
like to have a contest on that one.
It's like, hold my beer.
I bet you I got you beat.
like big deer, she shot
And missed.
I mean, I know that she has missed, or we have not found at least 5 bucks over 150.
One of them was
240. He's probably 230.
230.
What?
And I missed it. I mean,
Pounds?
Because he was a giant. I ended up finding that deer late, and I'd already tagged out. And she had a tag for shotgun, and this deer comes out. We're hunting on a bluff and literally sitting on a rock, like outcropping over this bluff. And it's only probably 50 feet down. And this deer comes out. I don't know. I have no idea how it even worked. Like, we come in and went around the field edge, climbed up the bluff, sit on that rock, and the deer come out right below us, straight out. And it looked like the whole woods erupted. I mean, it was giant. And I knew the deer because I'd seen him in the summer, probably 3 miles away, but I had no idea that deer was there until I found him like a couple of days before, but I didn't know where he was bedded.
Yeah.
But that rock, I could see a lot. So I was like, it's mainly a scouting trip. We're just going to see where this deer's at. And he comes out right below us. Anyway, he comes out, he's quartering away. And I've always told her with a gun, a slug gun, put it right on his shoulder, come right up his leg, shoot him right in the shoulder. She come up his leg, but he was quartering away and he was feeding. And the slug hit right in between his feet and his mouth. Right
No.
So clean miss.
Yeah.
Clean miss.
Yeah.
The next year, my buddy killed the deer, and he scored like 206,
Went down.
207.
Mhm.
Yeah. He had a bunch of stickers. Like, he's a mainframe 6x6, but his bases, he had, 6-7 inch points, probably 20 of them.
Oh my
just
God.
coming out all over the
It's a
place.
How do you
Cactus.
process a miss like that?
You cry a lot. I don't know that I left the house for.
Yeah, I would go to a deep, dark place.
No, yeah. I cried a lot. Yeah. And then I guess it was not shortly after that, is the next year, was it, when I shot that that 169 pointer?
Probably around that.
And I shot, and it was a good shot. We have it on film because he was filming me. And I have a single shot, and I reloaded and was going to shoot it again. And he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm shooting it again. It didn't drop." And he was like, "It's Holly. It's going to die." Like, the blood puddle was giant. It was just
standing
pouring.
there, just wagging his tail real
Yeah.
fast. I'm like, he's dead.
He's dead. Yeah. So we got down, belly crawled out. And was like, we're just going to let him walk off, and we'll come back in the morning. And tracked him for, a couple, yeah. And then lost everything. And then that was November. Like 18th, 19th. Got him on camera Christmas morning.
No way.
Mhm.
Was it a single lung shot or what was it?
Who knows?
It was extremely cold, and we tracked blood to a creek. And the only thing I can think of is that he bellied up in that creek and just slowed everything down because it was so cold.
It was a little bit
so
low,
cold.
like probably where the lungs come up. I feel like she missed the lungs a little bit low there, but it should have been liver or something like that. But
I think he just clotted it off.
Lived.
Jeez.
So, we have experience when we have misfortune in the woods, like getting feedback from our wives. I'm curious, from a husband's perspective, when your wife misses or has bad luck, how do you support her?
I don't say anything.
Silent treatment.
Similar to my wife.
Yeah. She's got to chill out. She's got to let her have time to calm down.
She seems a little fiery, like a little pistol.
Yeah.
It's ready to fire off at any time.
So that's my approach to that.
Safe.
100%. Just don't say anything.
Okay.
If he were to say something to you in that moment, what would you say?
No, it wouldn't have been good.
No.
Mm-mm.
She would have downed herself. Well, I'm not as good as you, and blah, 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 blah. So I just got to be quiet.
Yeah.
Talk about it in a few days.
Smart.
Mm-hmm.
Or in a podcast years down the road.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll tuck this one away. We'll revisit it sometime.
Yep.
So this year, it had been a few years. You hadn't hunted or hadn't had time or whatever the case may be. I know you guys had kids in high school age.
3, yeah.
So just, I'm sure, family life and
I travel for work also.
Okay.
So,
Traveling nurse?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
right.
I'm an operating room nurse.
Okay. So you get a chance this year to go out. What's the conversation around? All right, I got a deer, or I got, did you know the deer?
Yeah.
What's the situation?
That was the whole plan. I was hunting, actually the deer I ended up harvesting. I'd hunted him for 2 years, and then I had that, he was just a big framed 8-pointer, and he was in a spot on the farm and he stayed there. I mean, every picture I had was there, and I didn't go over there at all. None. And I was saving it for her, just hoping. He had left for probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, because it was right there in November. So I didn't know if he was there or not, but we was going to stick it out 3 days. The first 3 days of the first season, we were just going to sit in the blind and sit there all day, every day, until hopefully he showed up, and it ended up happening the first morning.
So second.
Was it second? Yeah, it
Saturday. We hunted Friday.
So what's it like sitting with your spouse? I can't imagine sitting with my spouse in a blind all day, because I don't know about you, but like she wouldn't be able to stand sitting there that long, just kind of like bored out of her mind.
So I'm different. You would think by meeting me, I wouldn't, because I'm extremely
high energy.
Yes, very much so. When I'm hunting, it's totally different. Like I can sit there all day long.
Just chill out and relax.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's been yelled at enough over the years, probably.
Now, I personally do not enjoy hunting with him at all. In any
There
way.
we go.
I do not.
Finally, this is what I'm looking for.
I do not. No, I'd rather hunt by myself.
Yeah.
If I had a choice.
So what is it about hunting with, is it that the tips that, hey, you should try this, or you holding your gun wrong?
No. It's the talking when I'm trying to, like, I know how to shoot a gun. I feel like I know how to hunt. Mm-hmm. I may not have harvested what he's harvested, but I can do it by myself. It's all this chitter chatter behind me in my ear while I'm trying to get myself on it, and he makes me a nervous wreck.
You would love hunting with Mark.
He makes me a nervous. Just shut up and let me do my thing. You know what I mean?
It's not like this at all.
A lot of free tips.
Talk to Taylor about hunting with Mark.
Yeah,
a lot of whisper yelling is what they call it.
Yeah, I mean, no, like it was a few weeks before that. We had went to just right around the house to get a doe, and I ended up leaving in the middle. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not talking to you no more, and I just split. Like I'm leaving.
Got up.
It's kind of like,
screw this.
They talk about sharing a canoe with your spouse.
Oh, I turn it over. No, actually, no.
Yeah, what's a float trip like with you two?
No. Let me tell you.
I said paddle to the left, right.
Tell you about the float trip that we did in a canoe that we got flipped over, and I was stuck underneath it, and he started screaming at me because I let the cooler float away.
That sounds plausible to me.
There's sandwiches in there.
Sandwiches. The beer's in there.
That's what it was. The beer's in the cooler. And
you float like
I'm
different
stuck
people
under the canoe. Like water's starting to rise up.
There's air in there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a pocket. A certain amount of time you can survive.
Their problem is she's short, so
exactly.
Like, hey, if it's getting deep here,
can't touch.
Dang. Yeah, no. So I do I would rather hunt by myself, but this is the first time I've ever hunted out of a blind. Also.
So
besides
you guys,
like pop-up blinds for turkey
I always love Kelly's hunts because he's building he's turkey hunting for deer.
Absolutely.
A lawn chair in a fence row or something a couple years back. And it's like, this is what's going to say.
Is that how you're used to hunting? Or you tree stands?
You do whatever you can do to get to it. Yeah. That's what you do.
Yeah. So, okay, going to your spot that morning, do you have some issues?
Was it that morning? Yeah. Was it that morning or the day before?
We were talking about e-bikes and how we got some e-bikes here in the studio and we were talking about how much we love them, but how big and heavy and kind of cumbersome they can be.
And I'm not a very big person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm maybe 5'3", 100 and I don't know, probably weigh a little more right now than what normal. Yeah,
we don't have to get into that.
Yeah.
We all do, minus Tim.
Share weight.
So we had an issue during turkey season last year. He was like, we're going to go on this bike. And I was like, I can't get on that bike. Like,
they're tall.
It's dark. I've never been on this bike. And he's wanting to put me on it to go turkey hunting.
And there's a learning curve to the bike.
I can't, I mean, it's, we end up.
Not just like riding a bike.
Exactly.
So we end up in a fight before trying to get out to the turkey hunting about me. Yes. Yeah. So he's like, forget it. We'll just get on the 4-wheeler and scare everything away. I'm like, I don't really care at this point.
Yeah. If you don't want to kill anything, that's
fine. This is what I feel like hunting with my wife would be like.
So I ride the bike at home trying to get ready for deer season, and I'm still not comfortable. It weighs more than I do.
It's heavy.
Like torque.
Yeah.
And then it's got like the throttle, the twist throttle thing. So I'm trying to get on it and like turn it at the same time it takes off. Well, we're going through this little ditch and he goes through it perfect. It's like slows down and goes through it. And I try to slow down and I fall. But when I fell, I guess I throttled it. And when I throttled it, then it like ejected me through the woods. I have my gun on, a backpack on. I've got my 2-pound bag of bacon with me.
What?
And
Bacon?
Wait, take bacon.
He takes Christmas tree cake thingamajiggies, whatever they are. No, I fried up 2 pounds of bacon and I put it in a Ziploc bag and I eat bacon.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking raw bacon.
No.
Don't holler at me because I thought you had bacon in your pack.
Yes. So, like he's like, oh, I got something. And he's like eating Christmas tree cakes. And I'm like, I'm over there with my Ziploc bag. And he's like, what have you got? I said, bacon. He said, you brought bacon? I said, yeah.
None for you.
Bacon.
I got 2 pounds for me.
2 pounds of cooked bacon. That's a lot of freaking bacon.
I eat every bit. I eat 10 slices every morning for breakfast.
What?
And 2 eggs.
How are you so small? It's like,
well, it's bacon. It's real. I mean, it's bacon.
There's fat in there.
Bacon.
No, it's not Christmas tree cakes.
No, that's worse. Well, there's no doubt that's worse.
I got zebra cakes. I got Christmas trees.
He does the Christmas tree cakes, and he wants the giant ones.
He's a grown man.
I have to
I didn't know there was multiple sizes of the Christmas tree.
Well, I found them
this year.
Yeah, and I found them.
Later.
They're like 2 or 2.5 times the size of a normal one.
And I don't even eat sweets ever. I never eat sweets.
But that hits the spot
during deer season. I have a whole stack of them in my back seat.
That's the
Christmas
diabetes edition.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, it sounds
Thank goodness
good.
he's married to a nurse, right?
I need to
She'll take care of me. Between the two of you, I don't know who's going to have the heart attack first. Miss 2 pounds of bacon a day or the Christmas tree guy.
So now your bacon's crumbled,
My
which is
cholesterol's
a
very
problem.
good. Well, actually, no, you can just tip the bag up. It's all good.
Drinking bacon.
It's all the same.
Welcome to Southern Illinois.
Okay, we got really sidetracked. I mean, this is the interesting part. But so you got thrown off.
Yes,
you had the 2 pounds.
Yes.
Did the bacon survive the fall?
Yeah, well, somewhat, yes.
Okay.
I barely did. Like trying to cuss underneath my breath and be quiet and not scare the deer. And Kelly doesn't allow light, so I don't.
Did you
can't see
hear
anything.
her? Did you slow down? Because you're in front.
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
Yeah. Everything. I could hear the bike breaking to pieces. I thought, going through the woods.
See you at the blind.
So at this point, do you turn a light on?
No. You're not allowed to have a light. Absolutely
I think
not.
I'm okay. Oh, that's a bone sticking out of my femur.
Well, luckily, I'm an operating room nurse. I just bandage it up and go on.
I asked her, I said, are you okay? She's like, I think so. I'm like,
I said, just get away from
get that bike,
get away.
let's go.
I'm walking in.
Like, we get to the blind, you can turn on a light and you can look and see if you're bleeding.
That's nice.
You gotta go.
Very concerned.
No, never.
So you got right back on that bike.
Yep.
That bucked
Sure
you.
did.
Dog cussing the whole way.
I was too. Yes, under my breath because you got to be quiet because you can't scare the deer.
Yeah,
Whisper cussing.
Yes, whisper cussing. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Tim.
I've done it a time or two.
Gosh darn it. Dadgummit.
And I've been trying not to cuss because I'm trying to be better, and that just didn't help at all.
Yeah, I mean
it just didn't help at all.
If you're the way we are, I feel like I can speak for the two of us. I don't know if you're as bad as, but it's just a second language. I can't.
Yes.
I just can't stop.
So I think that was the Friday morning, and I killed Saturday morning, but we didn't see him Friday morning at all. No, yeah, exactly right.
you drove right by his bedroom, just
crunching bacon the whole way.
Yes. No, we didn't see. I passed up
some good deer.
I passed up some. I've actually over the years have passed up a lot of. I wanted a mature deer.
Sure.
I didn't care if it was a big mature. I wanted an old deer.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's 160 inches. Just an old deer. If he's 110 inches, is impressive that they got that old because they just don't get that old. Yeah. So I wanted an old deer.
So you guys are in there Saturday morning or the second day or whatever it is. So. And you're in for a specific buck that you, Okay. So but
we had no pictures of him recently. Like we didn't have anything.
Yeah, but he was gone. I mean, I'm sure chasing does, but I knew he was going to come back home.
Yeah.
And
so what's the scenario when he finally comes out here? What's going on early in the day?
He came out like 300 and 400 yards from us.
Came out probably about 8:00.
and just walk back and forth across the field.
Literally 5 or 6 times before he would go across the field and go. There's like a thicket, kind of a finger that separates 2 fields, and a lot of deer bed in there. Does. So I mean, I'm sure he was going over there checking for does, and he would come back out the same spot, go right back across. Then he'd be a little bit closer. 20 minutes later, he'd come back out, go across. Back. He just kept doing that, and I'm like, man, he's like 200 yards. I was like,
calling to him, doing anything.
I did grunt to him a few times, but he didn't care anything.
Yeah. He was worn out. Yeah. He was barely moving. He was limping. He was, I mean, he'd been on some tail, that's for sure, and had his butt whipped.
What were you shooting? Because Illinois now, you can do the 350 Legend. You can do.
No, I have a
slug gun.
Yeah, but then he has a muzzle loader, so I ended up shooting with his muzzle loader.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, man, those slugs, they'll kick.
So it wasn't that. I think I may have knocked it off a little bit on my rec.
Oh,
yeah.
It was right at like 99 yards when I filmed. Finally, he came out in the draw below us, and ended up there's a Johnson grass kind of draw in front of me, and a lot of those deer I left it standing. I didn't mow it after they cut the crops. I just leave it because a lot of does and bucks they'll lock down right there.
Yeah.
And so it's right in front of the blind, and he ended up coming out of the draw and then walking up the edge of that Johnson grass draw, and it ended up being 99 yards. And I'm like, okay, so she's crashed the bike with her gun on her back. It's 100 yards. The gun will shoot at 100 yards.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this muzzleloader is
dead
sighted in at on 100
and he
yards.
didn't wreck with it on his back.
Yeah.
So,
So
there's that.
She used a muzzleloader.
Yeah.
So comes in finally close enough, gives you the shot.
It was a scramble because he was on the side.
Well, you had no time.
The blind, right?
Barely saw him.
Well, we didn't. We never really thought he was going to get that close.
Sure,
to be honest,
he's just way out there over and over and over.
And I mean, he just kept going. I don't think he's going to come up here because he paid no attention to any. Like you said, he grunted to him. He didn't. I mean, he didn't even turn his head. To look at us when he grunted. No, I mean nothing. He could care less. He was on a trail.
Sometimes
and that was it.
I wonder if they're just deaf, because I actually, that happened to me with a deer 2 seasons ago where like tried to stop him. You were yelling at him, grunt, whatever. He wouldn't. Well, it turns out like the one ear was all pussy and it had like, I actually think he had a hearing problem.
I don't see why it couldn't be the case.
But it makes you wonder though, also, as much as they fight and stuff, I mean, do they not get concussions? You know what I mean?
CTE,
like, I mean, consider we just were listening
he's
to
walking around angry and
abusing his family,
yelling at everybody.
I mean, can you imagine those poor sheep that have to bang their heads?
Yeah.
I mean, something, but really, in all reality, I mean, it's got to mess your hearing up and stuff later on, you would think.
Yeah, it's, I mean, something we don't think about a whole lot, but like deer could have heart attacks.
Absolutely.
Really?
I mean, why
I don't
not?
see why not.
Their anatomy will have stuff that goes wrong.
True.
And,
you just don't think about that.
I mean, corn and soybeans will give you high cholesterol, right? Not just bacon.
They just all have. They're just like us. I mean, they have different personalities.
Yeah.
I mean,
some just don't
you're
care.
walking down the street, some dude yells F you, some guys run at it.
Yeah. Some guys walk away.
Some guys walk away.
Some guys run.
Run away.
Call their mom on the drive home in their truck.
Yeah. So,
but
he wasn't much of a fighter. I don't know. He was beat up.
He was beat up. He was beat up.
You put the shot on him. Is he good shot? Recover?
He dropped right there.
Well, I didn't think that he did, but I'm also not used to shooting a muzzleloader, so all the smoke, and I'm like,
sure.
and plus, like I said, there was a scramble because he was on this side, and and he was like, "You got to get over here, and I got to get behind you," and it was just
Well, and it may have been in your head also. I know with sometimes with a muzzleloader shot, you have that initial knockdown. And then the deer kind of like shakes it off and gets back up, much to the surprise of the shooter. So was that going through your head at all?
Oh, yeah. As soon as he dropped, I was opening the door. I was going.
Yeah, and I didn't even see him drop at all. So I immediately went to, because I have missed, I feel like, everything I've ever shot. Besides turkeys.
It flavors everything
Yeah,
you do.
I mean, I can knock a turkey down, but deer, it's just a different world, man. Yeah. And I immediately was like, I missed him. And he was like, no, Holly, he's there. I was like, I missed him. And I'm crying at this point, like bawling my eyes out, like bawling my eyes out. And he takes off. And then I started videoing him because he didn't even know it. And so I turned the camera back on, and started videoing him walking across the field. And then you took my gun. Yeah. You took my slug gun with you. Mm-hmm. And a deer jumped up out of the thicket, that little Johnson grass thicket. He had the old 6-pointer, was bedded down, not 5 yards from
was going to.
Weird. 5 yards from where mine dropped.
And had been there the whole
time. We didn't even know he was there.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually the deer we wanted to kill. And I had her gun, and I threw the gun up, and he stopped right there.
Because you have a tag.
Yeah, he's got a tag. Yeah.
He jumps up, and goes out there and stops at 30 yards, and I'm like, I'm on him, and I'm like, nah, I can't shoot this deer off camera. Little did I know.
But not realize that I was filming.
Oh, yes.
We ruin everything.
Yes.
You should have whipped your head. Honey, you want him?
Yeah, because he's a deer.
He's old.
He's probably 8 or 9 years old. He's been there, and all he has been is a 6-pointer. Ever. I mean, just big, heavy. He's like big like this.
Dang.
But, oh well. Maybe this.
Yeah, but he didn't realize I had turned the camera on because I wanted to film him like if because it was at this point it's a big if he's my deer's actually dead. Yeah, because I didn't think he was. I wanted to film it, so I turned the camera on and had.
So could you see him laying there?
You could see his rack.
I could see his. I really couldn't from where I was at. No, but you were kind of standing in front of him too. But I was on the deer when that 6-pointer jumped up. I was on him, and I had it on film. He pulled the gun up and had it on him. That's and cool. Didn't shoot because he didn't think. He's like, I can't shoot off camera. And I'm like, producer. I'm videoing.
Yeah.
Shoot it.
Funny.
Oh, it would have been, can you imagine that? That would have been, oh my gosh, that would have been awesome. Yeah.
So you've covered the buck. He's dead. Obviously, it's all good. So then at what point are you finally relieved and happy and the tear?
I got emotional the whole time.
Yeah,
he was crying. He was crying as much as I was.
Because I've been with her so many times, and it's just not gone good.
Yeah,
and now it's a big deer that we went in there to kill. She killed it. Everything worked out, and it was just like a flood of emotion. Yeah. She's freaking out. I was freaking out. It was good. It's probably one of the most memorable hunts I've ever had.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. It'll be on Critical Mass this summer on Outdoor Channel. So,
and we've been with the kids when they've killed stuff, and I don't know, it was just different. Like
just the two of you, kind of a long, 31 years.
31 years.
I mean, she was so excited. It's great to see kids, but a lot of kids don't understand.
Yeah.
You shoot a deer, like you take a child hunting, which is always a good thing to do, but they shoot a 130, 140 inch deer, and that's an incredible thing. Yeah. But they're just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. You're excited, so all right, I got it. And she knows the work it takes, and she knows how much time we spend, and this and that, and to finally close that chapter on a big deer, it was just special.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think Jim Richmond did a piece on this in DeerCast a couple years back on coaching your kids through a miss, but just the whole notion, we don't talk about it enough, probably the emotions and the psychology of what it's like to watch someone that you love go through a miss and
or a hit, even worse, a hit and not finding it. And that definitely doesn't get talked about a lot. Because when you do talk about it, you have all the heroes out there like, I never have missed anything or I've never ever covered everything. It's just okay.
That's a lie.
And it's just, that's what makes it tough. But you're 100% right. Like you don't really talk about those emotions and how to kind of get through them. And you can't help the other person. Like I've had some rough times, and usually for me, it's a camera guy that's there like, oh man, it is what, we're going to get back after it, or, we'll find them or this or that. And it's just like, you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear anybody talking. Like it's just, you want to beat yourself up and just be left in your doldrums.
Yeah. Just let me go to my corner and sulk and relive it and see what could I do different? Did I do something wrong? And that's always my thing is, what did I do wrong? Yeah. Did I do something wrong? Did I pull the trigger? Did I close my eyes?
Yeah.
Like all of these things. I remember when we took our daughter turkey hunting for the very first time. We couldn't figure out how she missed this turkey until we got her home, and he takes her outside, and she's little. He takes her outside, and she would close her eyes and then pull the trigger. It was like, now we know why you're missing it.
I put up the target, and I was like, just put the red dot on the target. and it, it's a piece of paper this big at 20, 25 yards or whatever. Boom. There was not a pellet in it.
Oh boy.
Not one. I said, Lakin, what are you doing? She's like, well, he said, you click the safety off for me, and I just pulled the trigger. So as soon as you click the safety off, I just close my eyes and pull it. I'm like,
I learned it from you, Dad.
She missed our first turkey. She's probably 4 years old, I guess.
4 or 5, yeah.
And she missed 2 turkeys in one morning. Hey.
That's pretty young.
You can't hit them when you close
Dad,
your eyes.
hold my bottle. There's a turkey coming. Well, the educational psychologist John Dewey said that we don't learn by doing, we learn by thinking about doing. And that whole like processing afterwards. And
yes.
And like when Sophie and I were driving home from her turkey hunt this season, I was like, all right, so what did you learn? And she's like, that was a lot of fun. Like, no, but what are you going to take from that hunt to the next hunt?
Mm-hmm.
These things will stick with you. And we're learning stuff as we go, but we don't always stop to really ask ourselves, what did I learn? What would I do differently?
Analyze it.
Yeah.
Analyze it, debrief it, and then take that. So you're finding value in that. So even if like you're kicking yourself like, oh, it was a stupid mistake, but I'll never do that again. Like that will always be a box that I check next time out. So I may make another mistake, but it's probably not going to be that one.
Absolutely.
You hope that.
Yeah.
What happens in the heat of the moment sometimes is you don't slow things down enough. That's been my experience over time, is like if you don't remember to slow things down, even when I feel like things are slowed down, mistakes can happen. It's like, there's a long checklist here of things that need to go right.
It gets longer the more you hunt.
But then I also feel like if you don't have that little hint of anxiety when you're getting ready to pull a trigger or you're getting ready to pull that bow back, if there is not that, then you don't need to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you, go through all of those points, and I mean, we've been together a long time, and I've watched him kill a lot of deer, and he has a checklist, like with his bow, like when he went from drawing, every little thing, he has a list that he goes down in mentally in his head. But if you aren't a little nervous, you're in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Those things should get you fired up. You should be excited. You should, if you're just solemn after it, go home. Let someone else kill that deer.
Well, the nerves, for kids though, the nerves seem to be worse on turkeys. I feel like I love
probably because the gobbling and the closeness and
See,
a lot of times you're on the ground.
I love that.
Rush a shot on turkeys. And like every time I take a kid hunting that's never turkey hunted, I'm just like, you have to remember, a turkey flies down in the morning and he has all day to do nothing.
Yeah.
To do nothing. So if it doesn't work out right now, we're going to get on him in another hour.
Mark and Terry, so when they first started hunting, they hunted a lot with their Uncle Marvin, so my grandpa's brother. And his saying was, time means nothing to these turkeys.
That's exactly right.
It's something we talk about even 36 years later. It's like, time means nothing to these turkees.
From daylight till dark. I mean, they just know that they got to be back up in that tree before dark.
Just chill schedule. Well, so this past turkey that I had come out, and turkeys are like, I love whitetail. Whitetail are my number one. Turkeys are awesome, but whitetail is number one. But as these birds started getting closer, I was like, this could happen. Like they're on a trajectory to come to me. Something switched in my mind, and I'm pretty familiar with my heartbeat with some of the running and stuff I do. It's a different heartbeat that it's like this boom, 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 boom. And it's just so crazy that, a few seconds ago, I'm watching this bird coming towards me and it's like, no big deal. Like, okay, now this is happening. The adrenaline dump happens.
Yes.
The heartbeat is deeper. It's just, that's part of the magic of it. And that's what you just, God help you if that ever goes away. Cause it's not the same anymore.
No, exactly. You're just not, I just don't feel like you don't get excited about it, you should be excited. I mean,
and that's where the magic comes together, because while you're dealing with that adrenaline dump, like you were talking about that list, Matt, you were also able to go through and like this shouldn't have happened. There were 200 things that could have gone wrong that had any one of them gone wrong, this would not have happened. And I was able to manage that through that heightened state of awareness. Yeah. It's crazy. We're fortunate.
So
that was
a great recap of the hunt. It was a good, and that I'm sure it felt great to finally kind of connect after some mishaps and misfortunate hunts.
Very
over
much
the years. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm curious, Kelly, from as the hunting husband with a hunting wife, what have you learned from Holly?
Well, probably nothing. No,
we can cut that. That's fine.
What's handy, honestly, is I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a new hunter. I'm bad about when I have an idea on doing, I have to bounce it off somebody, whether they know what they're talking about or not. It's really nice for me to have somebody to help me make a decision on a move or a decision on this or that, whether they know or not.
That irritates me.
I feel it
irritates you.
Well,
it's more or less thinking out loud.
I feel like he's very humble, very, very humble. And I'm like, why are you calling that person and asking them this question that you know the answer to? Like, you're the best dang, hunter. I guess I hadn't really thought about it that way. I just would I'm like, dude, like, you're 100 times better hunter than the person you just called. So, but I'm very protective also.
Tim's like, dang, he called me like 3 times this fall.
Suddenly I don't feel so special.
But no, I understand exactly. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, but like, especially you do a lot of solo hunting. So maybe it's not quite the same, but I always got a camera guy with me, and I'm always like, everywhere we go, everything we do, it's almost always my plan or idea, but I would like to hear.
Absolutely. And that's how he is. Yeah.
Like, all right, what do you think? And usually the input's just like, that sounds good. It's not much, but every once in a while there's like some nugget that I didn't think of, and we make a move because of that, and that's the part that you're looking for.
Yeah. My version of that is talking out loud. Because sometimes if you got a dumb idea and you think it, that's one thing. If you say it out loud, you're like, oh, that sounds pretty dumb. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But sometimes those are the ideas that get you like thinking, especially when the season's like, you're in the middle of that season, deer season. And you're like, well, I normally wouldn't do this. I never would go and, this time of day or hunt over in this spot, but I'm going to try it this time.
Bring less bacon this time.
Sometimes those are the keys to switching it up to, because they got you patterned. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, like I gotta totally change things up. Yeah. And so sometimes that dumb idea is the thing that gets you the deer.
Just crazy enough to work.
Yeah, there you go.
I think too, though, technology has, I think sometimes it gets in your, like in his head. Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I think it gets in his head because he's like,
too much data.
I'm not getting pictures sent to my phone. I haven't, I'm like, just forget about the cameras, forget about the pictures, and become the deer like you used to do. You know what I mean? Deer. Be the deer. Like, what would they be doing right now? Where would they be? What's the weather like? Look at that stuff, and then now go do what you did 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that was the point I was going to make, is that we have hunted on this transition from technology. I mean, when we like, I think probably most of us started in the 90s, maybe 80s hunting before trail cameras, and then film trail cameras and stuff. Yep. We hunted before all the cell cam data. So we at least have some reference of doing that. People that started hunting in the 2015s and beyond, even earlier than that, like trail cameras have really changed a lot.
Well, I mean, it's really no different than what we were talking about the other day with the fishing stuff, like all the fishing stuff. Well, he used to, he used to fish tournaments, and he could read a lake, read a river, whatever. Fish are going to be here. This is what I need to use. Now they got cameras as big as this TV on the wall back here that see all the way to the bottom.
Find a big fish,
and they just follow it
till you catch it, and then go find another one. It's
crazy.
Yeah. So so a
lot of the old guys that we grew up watching in bass tournaments,
the Hank Parkers,
if they had to go to try to qualify, they couldn't. Qualify. There's no way.
They couldn't.
Yeah,
they can't keep up with it.
You hear some of that chatter or read some of that online about some of the older guys that just can't keep up with the sport anymore because all these young guys are using all the tech to their advantage, and it's just not
but I think
a level
in a way,
playing field between those two types of people.
But I think in a way it's also hindered because I don't feel like they're learning as much.
Well,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
they're not using that.
Well, it'd be the equivalent of woodsmanship for a hunter. Like you don't have the same level of woodsmanship anymore, the younger hunters. And I would say the same for me. Like I'm trying to learn things on my own. It's like, all right, by this, I'm 44. Like I should know this or that or whatever. And it's like, you got to kind of think like, all right, I'm too dependent on this cell camera or this, or even the DeerCast maps or whatever. It's like, now when I look at DeerCast, it's not really, okay, good, great. That's good. That's a reference. But I'm really diving into the hourly and what all the specific metrics are to say, like, you know what, in my experience, the last, 8, 9, 10 years, I feel like they move better at this point. And this might be saying, okay, but it's not maybe accounting for this one thing or whatever, Well,
but for me, part of the magic of bow hunting when I got started in the 2000s with any level of seriousness was just not knowing what could happen, not knowing what deer. Like I didn't have a good sense of how many does or how many bucks. Or it was just like go out to the timber, climb up in my climber, and we'll see what happens. And that's crazy. Like. And it, like I killed deer, not with the same regularity, but when it happened, it was just so magical.
I think that's the difference is the amount of time you have to hunt now versus what you had then.
Yeah.
And the you're trying to be very, very precise with when you go.
Well, DeerCast has changed. It's changed everything. I mean, as far as when we were kids to go deer hunting, you don't care about the wind.
You just go.
You just get a climber, like you said, on your back and take off, find a scrape, climb. Now, and I hunted every day.
Yeah.
Every day, no matter what. And now I don't hunt as often. If DeerCast says poor or bad, I listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I will go hunting, but I might not be in a hunting spot. I might be on top of a grain bin watching a field or sitting in my truck and on a gravel road watching or this or that. That's mainly scouting. But that has changed big time how I hunt.
And by the way, we just changed those ratings in DeerCast. You won't see poor and bad anymore. You'll see slow. Because
and there was a lot of thought behind that. I mean, in years, even from, so we launched in 2018, we thought a lot about it because we get a lot of feedback of like, well, is it really a bad day? To hunt. And it's that mental kind of roadblock for people. And it's just like, we hear what you're saying. It's a slow, what we're saying is it's going to be slow because of the weather factors.
It doesn't mean that they're not going to move.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't have, it's not like I have 10 deer that I'm hunting. I have 2.
Yeah.
Or maybe 3 on a good year. So
I think that's the difference.
I'm not going in there if it's not perfect.
That's the difference.
No matter what.
So when you have something like this app, it's obviously going out to the masses. So you're hitting very different levels and styles of hunting. And so for somebody, maybe a beginner or not even a beginner, but somebody that hunts in an area that there's not a high deer density, if they're like, hey, I saw a deer today, it's saying something. So it's tough. I remember there was a guy that we all mutually know that's used to be on the team, and he was like, well, why don't you say it's 10 deer when it's great? It's like, you can't say that. You couldn't predict how many deer someone's going to see on a spot. There's no way to predict that.
Well, I mean,
but what does good mean to you?
Right.
Does it mean seeing 2 deer? Does it mean seeing a shooter?
That's all.
That's the difference.
A deer.
Especially when you're hunting a deer. Like, I know that I might only see that shooter once the entire year with my eyes. But the likelihood of seeing him are much better on the good and great days than they are on the okay or poor, bad.
Well, the deer that you killed, hadn't seen.
I'd never seen.
You hadn't seen
in 2 years. Never
with your eyes in 2 years.
No.
I mean, never
killed that deer on maybe it was an okay day.
Yeah,
I don't remember what DeerCast, but it had an east wind, and I couldn't go where I needed to go. So it was a scouting trip.
Yeah,
but you took your stuff along.
Good Lord,
it was one of those.
Sure. It was a fence row like we talked about earlier. I mean, I set up on a fence row with a muddy chair.
Oh, yeah.
Cut some cedar limbs and was just scouting because I had just enough east wind that it was blowing into the farm and I could give up. I kind of got on the fence row to where the dead area was kind of going to be the east. They wouldn't have gotten there till after dark. So I just set up just to watch this field, just to see what was going on. And here comes a doe, walks out of the woods, walks all the way down to me. I look out across the field and there were some does out on the hill. Got my binoculars, looked. As soon as I put my binoculars up, that buck stepped up over the hill, ran those does, looked down 300 yards, and I got a does in front of me, and just dead runs right to me.
Isn't that crazy? Did you call or anything?
No, he just come to check those does. Of course, I'm self-filming.
Yeah.
And he comes into 20 yards broadside, and I can't get it all together. Ended up having to let him get on out there, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah,
But it was a scouting trip. I didn't go in there to kill that deer. I went in there to maybe see that deer in the field.
And then make a plan of how to kill him another day.
Hoping to see him because he'd never seen him besides on camera.
Just so happens it works. You just never know. I mean, so I guess saying all that to say that you do need to still be in there.
I think that's our point with it. It's like, hey man, a bad and a poor day, it does change my thought process a lot on, okay, maybe I'm not going to the honey hole, or maybe
you're prioritizing,
but I'm still looking at that hourly and getting the detail of what the weather's doing. And that's what I usually make the final decision on. And if I feel like, oh, you know what, maybe there's a front moving through, or maybe it's saying bad or poor because there's a torrential downpour, but then after, and it picks up a lot of that stuff. But I don't know. That was a lot of the reason we change it to just slow, because that's the reality of it is we're saying it's most likely going to be a slow hunt.
Yep.
But there's not really a bad hunt that you're going to have.
No, you never know.
Yeah, it's all data. The buck I killed this past fall, I didn't have any pictures of it. I didn't know he existed. I hadn't hunted this spot. I'd hung a stand in there in August and hadn't been in there. I think I killed him in October. And I was like, I haven't been there. I'll just go down, kind of like scout it and see what's up. And I was able to grunt him across the property line. So had I just gone on the intel that I had
no intel.
I wouldn't have.
You wouldn't have gone there.
Exactly.
I think that's Holly's point. As like sometimes the intel's too much.
Yes.
And you're not getting intel.
And that's what I meant by saying it kind of. I feel like it hinders you. It just mentally you kind of put up a block. Yep. And you're going, I'm going to look at this because this is what. Yeah. This is what I have, and I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at X, Y, and Z. Still follow your winds. Still hunt. I feel like that's a must. That's a big thing.
For sure. That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
Play the wind at all times, and and make sure your access is good, and at least you won't
But I remember
mess something up on a bad day.
A deer he killed, I don't remember which one it was. I just remember he left for work that morning, and we've always had to leave extremely early. It's like 4:00 in the morning. That evening he came home and he was like, I saw that deer this morning.
It's 2008.
Okay, there you go. See?
All right, Mark.
What day was it?
Rain Man over here.
What day was it?
October 21st.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Different deer. It was November 1st.
Your hair was short back then.
It probably was, actually.
I remember when 17 it was short.
Yes. But I just remember him coming home from work and he was like, I saw that deer this morning. And I don't even think we really had cameras then. And if we did, they were the little card cameras, and you didn't go in and pull. Yeah. I mean, the only time you went to cameras was if you were going
walking by it.
Yes. You didn't just go in to pull, And he said, I know where that deer will be tomorrow. Like, I guess tomorrow night or whatever, because he couldn't hunt. Was it that evening? Yeah. Was it that evening? He's like, I know exactly where it'll be. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I know that route. I know when they're standing right here at this time in the morning, because it was 4 a.m. when he was leaving for work. He saw it coming out of the woods, crossing the road. I'll know where it'll be tonight. And he killed it. Mm-hmm. So at some point you have to go back to your woodsmanship, to being a hunter, to being a woodsman. And
that was on my own property too that we grew up on. So
you knew it.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew
that makes a big difference.
Had a stand in there. Hadn't hunted it all year. And I knew where that deer, he was going to come by that tree.
I think about that a lot. Like just the style that I hunt, we lose a lease. I pick a lease up. It's you tough. Don't have one for more than a year or two typically. Yep. About the time I learn it, I lose it. Yep. So it's tough because my style of hunting is very much like dads, that's just the way I grew up learning, was kind of a observation style of not as aggressive as Mark is, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes like that's where woodsmanship and getting aggressive, a guy like Ben Rising or what you're saying, like you're cutting these, cedar, limbs down and creating your blinds. Like that would be like a very crazy thing for me to off the wall type of style for me, because it's not
orthodox.
Yeah, it's just different.
See, that's normal for us.
But that's normal for probably a lot of people, and it's just not the style I grew up knowing.
I go with friends or whatever, and they're like, "You go with me to help me hang a stand?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What do you want to do? You want to scout it or kind of figure it out?" I'll go with you. So we go in there, and then like you got to be here. This right here is where you got to be, right here. Be like, there ain't a good tree. We'll have to be over there. It's like, are you hunting deer or trees? Like, you have to be where you have to be, and it's right here. Figure it out. Whether you're 10 foot, 6 foot, just stand still.
Yeah.
You have to be here.
I think it's a little easier when you're a solo guy too. When, we're always trying to think, for the most part, both you guys do a lot of solo filming, but I'm always with a camera guy. So it's usually like, all right, how can I fit 2 guys somewhere in this area?
I think is why he likes using me for a camera person too, because I'm so little. He can just tuck me up. I'm like a little monkey. I'm like a little monkey. I can just
throw you on the next limb up.
Spider monkey up there with the camera. Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the fun of having these conversations, is that people have different styles of hunting, and you can kind of pick out like, oh, that's a cool, I want to try that.
Well, which being the first time I've ever hunted out of a blind was this year. Like I always hunted out of, he would hang on, climber or hang ons for me. He wouldn't let me ever use a climbing stand, but he would hang, and I had my lifelines, and he'd go in and hang multiple ones, and I would check my wind, and I'd go in by myself.
Yeah.
And, and I'd sit there. I mean, there's plenty of nights that I'd have to call him because I'm like deer, under me. And I'm like, you're going to have to drive out here and scare them away and so I can get down, because I would not move. I mean, but so being in the blind, that was the first time this deer.
That's a much different experience.
Well, I mean, I that's what's put us in like of a little tizzy there right before, because I was getting hot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
the bacon's to the right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Christmas trees on the left.
Yes. So I'm like trying to shed my coat, and when he popped up, like, and he was like, there he is, and I'm like trying to like, now get my orange back on and shimmy across the floor of the blind underneath him, stepping over top of me to try to get behind me. So that kind of like that's
kind of a disadvantage of blinds. I never could afford them all the way up until the last couple of years.
So you got a sugar mama is what you tell everybody.
There you go. So it's just you can. It was way easier to be ready and hang on.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yes,
you kind of miss out on the experience of
much different sensory experience.
Hearing the deer coming, being ready, blah 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 blah. But I don't know. They're bulletproof. I mean, as far as the wind. We still hunt the wind. We still have the wind to our advantage,
but even from the blind. Push it a lot more.
Yes.
Than the last 2 or 3 years, especially with the new, there's a ton of great blinds out there. I know that, but we use a lot of the hawk and muddy blinds, and they're so. And we'll do a couple modifications to make them a little more scent proof and make sure the windows are tight and all the areas where it might leak out. I find we watch the wind, we pay attention to it, but I find us pushing it way more in the last 2 to 3 years than we ever did before.
You get the mindset when you leave the trucks, like that deer's over by that blind. I know we'll see him out of that blind. All we have to do is get there. If we can get there, get in there, shut up, we're good.
Yeah, which is great with the bikes, unless you're me and you wreck them. And,
that is the beauty of those bikes. You could get right to the blind quickly, lay it down. They don't give a crap about the bike.
But don't expect to use a light of any show. No. And we have to carry black rubber gloves with us to cover up the little monitor screen.
Yeah, they're too bright. I put gaff tape over mine. Black, basically. Tape like what am I trying to say? Gaff tape would be like not as sticky as duct tape. Right. Yeah. So we'll put gaff tape over it, and then because it's I can't believe there hasn't, and maybe there is, but a bike manufacturer that hadn't figured out like hunters can't have that light on.
Like a little dial on the side where you can roll it down. Yeah.
I learned that lesson the hard way this past year, riding out of a really gnarly property. and I was already pissed off because the hunt was just
Crap.
crap. It was crap getting to the stand, crap getting out of the stand, and then riding that e-bike back with that blazing
It blinds you in the dark.
screen. I literally couldn't see. I had to like try to ride one hand and put my hand over the.
Put your hat on it or something.
I bought those. They're just a box of rubber gloves. I think.
Yeah.
There's
The black ones.
Yeah, the black ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're really
Surgical
thick.
gloves.
Yeah. There's the.
Yeah.
That's what. And he keeps a box in his truck
Smart.
and just
Yeah.
uses those. Then.
Yeah.
I even took
Yeah.
I took those bike. I mean, I use them exclusively, like big time. But I take when I hang a stand on a deer, I'll just cut a cedar tree.
To throw over it.
Yeah, and I'll
No,
like drag it to the tree with a bike or whatever, and just leave it there and pull the bikes up, lay it over, and put the cedar tree.
Same. We'll do that same thing. We've kind of started creating little parking spots almost for them where we can lean them and cover them real quick. And they just, I love using them, but they can be a little hazardous. Especially you get going too fast or hit loose gravel. I mean, I've wrecked mine a couple times. And it really screwed up my shoulder. This was 2 seasons ago. It really screwed me up for a while, but we were flying, when I wrecked it. Yeah. So,
oh, I was not.
Yeah.
And I wrecked
Slow
on the way.
speed crashes are a thing.
I wrecked on the way back too. I don't know. I wrecked that Friday. Listen. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I get on it. I'm going to wreck it.
Why don't you put pegs on the back and just have her ride with you next time?
No, I
She's
said,
small enough.
Find me a small bike, and I found one, but it's not like a name brand thing. But I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I can spray paint it if I
How
have
long
to. If
before
it's pink.
guys are using those one wheels to go out?
You laugh about that, but I kind of think I saw somebody using one of those.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a powered. It almost, there's a couple different kinds. They're called one wheels, but one of them looks like a skateboard deck with
That's
a
the
big
one I
wheel
saw.
in the center of it.
A guy using
Is
that.
it like those mall cop things?
No, that's kind of, but
Segway.
those are segways.
Yeah. And then there's another one. It's got like pegs on either side of a larger wheel.
He could put a little
like a
basket on the back of his
unicycle.
bike and I could sit in the basket even.
That'd be cute.
Like Toto.
Yeah.
Sidecar. Nice. You think you had problems with your derailleur before?
Goggles and
Put a sidecar on it.
I probably needed goggles and a helmet that morning when I crashed it.
Couldn't hurt. Jeez. Well, awesome season. Can't wait to see
congrats,
it all on
guys.
Critical Mass.
It's awesome. So new seasons will start here the last week of June. So it's really the way that week plays out. I think it's basically the first week of July, the new season will hit. And Critical Mass is Tuesday nights. The primetime airing is 9:30 Central on Tuesday nights, Outdoor Channel.
Golly, that's my bedtime.
Well, the good part is it airs like 5 times that week. So just DVR. The other way to catch it is MOTV. They'll start airing those, I think, only like a month or 2 after they're on TV. They put them on MOTV now. Yeah. So those are good way to
be a year, wasn't it?
Used to be a year. Yeah. So they've changed that.
HS Strut and the DoD Signature Series of calls puts the sound of spring at your fingertips. From the first owl hoots of the morning to the last quiet clucks and purrs in the moment of truth. Be ready for any calling situation the Turkey Woods can throw at you with HS Strut.
Well, we have a hit or miss. Georgia has proposed an early firearm season for October 4 and 5 to thin the doe numbers and allow hunters to fill doe quotas prior to the rut. Follows a pattern from other states like Missouri. So what do you guys think? Are early firearm seasons a hit or a miss for whitetail hunting?
What do you think, Kelly?
It's a terrible question for me because I'm scared to death to shoot does. It's like I only get so many chances at bucks. I have like certain spots I'll shoot does, but I think early season would be better than late, of course.
So I go back and forth on this a little bit because in theory, I love the idea of it. For me, it's a hit in theory because I always want to go and kill some does early and try to help thin the herd, get some practice, all that stuff. But like you, I hunt so little and I'm usually picking the best days to hunt, the great days. I'm usually not wanting to kill a doe for fear of, well, what if a buck comes out? And so, and usually the properties that I'm hunting are small enough where it's like, I don't really have a doe spot or a perimeter doe spot or something like that. I don't want to.
But if it would have been, if the season's early enough prior to being able to harvest a buck, I mean, really would it hinder, would it hinder that buck
Well,
You know
that's
what I mean,
the
to
problem.
begin
Like
with?
early October, that's a pretty money. You get a cold north wind in October, that date range, you're going to see a shooter
Right.
if you got the right setup, right? So that's what makes it tough. Like I actually 2 seasons ago, it was the Missouri early firearm season. It was this date range. And I had my shooter come out on this lease. And because I remember this because Scott and I were wearing orange Titan and just jacked up the shot. I ranged further ahead than where I shot. So I dialed it too far basically. So I hit him top of the spine and too high for the spine even. Right. So he ran out, but like that's my point. It was a cold October wind came through. It was the perfect time to go in to try to target a shooter. He came to this little food plot. We had a hidey hole food plot tucked in the timber. Sure enough, he shows up. And that would have been the firearm. And we had a chance to kill a herd of 10 does came through before he did. So my point is, if I would have shot a doe, likely he would have heard it. He would have never came up there. Yep. That's where I struggle with it. That's where it's a miss for me. But I like the idea. In general, I think it is a good idea. And it probably is very property dependent or herd dependent even.
Sure. What about having it just late after the season's completely over, having nothing but like 2 weeks of doe?
Shed deer.
That's the problem with it. They did have that in Missouri for the longest time. So at Dad's, we'd go up there and, as construction guys would come up and we'd have a doe weekend. And it was always cold as shit, but it was perfect because you've already pretty much filled your
don't care.
But if they are dropping.
That's the problem. You really got to watch out for that. You really, really got to watch out for shed bucks.
Which seems like a lot of the big deer too shed early.
Yeah, exactly. So I like it later better, but they moved it because of that reason. Like people were killing shed bucks.
But it needs to happen, and I think especially in Illinois. I mean, the doe. I mean, shoot.
For some reason though, Illinois, especially in our county and the southern counties, you can't get you used to get a either sex and an antlerless tag. We can't get that now. It's either sex only. We can't get an antlerless tag.
Which is really weird.
Well, Illinois is weird. I mean, the only reason we're still in that state's because of deer.
That's right.
It's like most people in Iowa.
Most people, I relocated my parents out of Illinois back in 2014. Most of my friends and family that still live there talk about it like being with an abusive spouse.
It is. Absolutely.
I can't leave.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's true.
They love me.
I just keep coming back for more. But I mean, crap, we can leave our house and there'll be 30, 40 does across.
It is weird. They took that
right there.
That's a weird thing to do, especially they were managing for CWD as well, like a bunch of states are. And they had that TNR program where it was like guys going in with silencers, right? And shooting which is also weird that you can do that in a state that you can't own a silencer. It's just I don't know. That's what I think pisses people off about DNRs. Any state's DNR. It's like, okay, rules for thee, but not for me kind of thing.
I don't know why.
Did you make that up?
I thought it was something.
Really good.
That was
Ten
catchy.
Commandment or something.
That was catchy.
That was a number 11. They just didn't have room for it on the tablet.
I would love to see you take a stab at the 10 Commandments and just
thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. I know the main ones.
There you go. That's the biggies. You'll stay out of trouble that way.
False gods.
False gods. There's one.
Yep. Graven images.
I would need to study a little bit for the rest.
Most people would.
Yeah. But those are the main ones.
Rules for thee, not for me.
That's in there somewhere. That's probably the basis of one.
That's apocryphal. Yeah. Right on.
Don't strike me down.
The only issue I have, there's population dynamics that you have to think of, but then everyone personalizes deer hunting policy. What does this mean for me? What does this mean for my area? And the only reason I don't like an early firearm season is I just don't want gun pressure around, because that just seems to change how the deer move. And I want to bow hunt them as long as I can. Don't let them know they're being hunted.
Brother, those days are changing.
So in Missouri, is there right? So we've always been that we're in southern, we're at the very tip of Illinois. We've always had Kentucky, which is right there, and they've always had a rifle season. Yeah. Something we've really never I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I feel like I like to have my deer a little closer to me when I kill them.
Well,
I want to be able to see their eyes
changed
a
a little
better.
bit with that 350 legend during the shotgun seasons.
I don't know that I'm really excited about that even.
I mean, that's because I think you come from a state where you're not accustomed to that tradition.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I am telling you, you use that gun. It's just so accurate. And it's not, you're talking
So
a 200
where's mine
yard
at? Have you
gun.
sent me mine yet?
Come on, let's go.
We ordered one.
Did you order one?
Yeah, we ordered,
That's right. You did, didn't you?
I think once you used it, that would change the thought process a little bit. I think I think people fight a bit of tradition versus like, oh man. The other thing is, like, you look at Missouri and the caliber of deer and the quality of deer versus Illinois or in Iowa, the states where it has been traditional to just have a slug gun season or a muzzleloader. Well, now Iowa's changed that. Illinois has changed that.
Yeah, the quality of deer in Illinois is not like it used to be either.
I think it comes from a little bit. There's a lot going on there. I mean, the farming practices are.
I think a lot of people probably will get mad at this, but it's 100% out-of-state hunters for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're in the southern Illinois region, so it's all the southern hunters, and I don't have a problem with southern hunters. So don't.
Some of our best friends are from Louisiana and come up.
Louisiana, Arkansas,
but we are the first stop. We're the
they'll come
first.
up from the south, and maybe they've never seen a 120-inch buck.
Yeah.
120-inch buck's a giant down there. So my theory is they come to Illinois
and we see a lot of it.
They shoot a big deer for Florida.
Yeah.
They're from Florida. They shoot a big deer in Illinois. Well, that's a 1.5-year old deer.
Shots fired. Captain Crazy Nuts.
Yeah, no. I mean, but but we see so much of it.
And it's not
so
all
much of it.
No, I get what you're saying. That's been the rub in Missouri forever too, where like a group would come in and they'd lease, it might be 10 guys lease, a couple 100 acres, and they'll just come up for gun season, or maybe, hunt a couple of days of that, especially now with crossbows, they'll hunt a couple of days of that season, like leading into the gun season, and they'll be there for that first week of gun, and they'll just shoot the hell out of whatever. And
but
home.
what's big in Georgia and big in Florida is small in Illinois. You know what I mean? It's not
Illinois. I hear what you're saying. I feel like that was more of a problem in like the early 2000s.
It's always been a problem.
We went our 90s back.
Yeah. Yes.
When it was real big.
Oh my God.
When we could drive around and see.
Just giants.
Man.
Just giants. I mean, every year.
You don't think the farming practices, like everything getting put in a tillable, every little fence row getting taken out.
We have so much.
Yeah, we're in the pretty part of Illinois where it's not just
rolling hills,
farm ground. We have lots of timber and lots of different terrain.
Gotcha.
Bluffs.
Yes.
We have rocky bluffs. We have all.
We have gods.
Yeah.
That's we have everything like that down there. So there's not like as far as big landowners too. I mean, there's probably in our county. I mean, the biggest landowner might own say 2,000 acres.
Yeah.
Where you get up in central Illinois, I mean
10,000.
15,000 acres. So
big farmers.
It's different.
Yeah.
But then it's hard to manage. Because your area that you're hunting, like for instance, just our property right there at our house, and then we have another little piece of property, 5-10 minutes from the house, 80 acres at our house, and then 160.
Yeah,
just the surrounding people.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it's one that we own
because what's a deer's normal travel? Yeah, I mean, how far they go?
Couple miles,
more than 160 acres.
It depends.
You know what I mean?
They have studies that show mature bucks won't go very far at all, other than maybe the rut.
But the neighbors, that farm, we own it, and we have, I think it's 43 acres of CRP, and I leave it during deer season just for the pressure, pressure. Yeah. And we never hunt it. I mean, we've owned it since 94.
Lakin killed her little buck off it, that little bitty one that she killed.
We've owned it since 94, and I think maybe 3 deer. We've shot 3 bucks off of it since then. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But
you're leaving it as a sanctuary.
Basically,
just in hopes that something.
Yeah.
But
so,
out-of-staters.
I leave it, take it, hit or miss. I forget what.
If I think outside myself, I'll take it.
Yeah, hit.
Yeah, the hit.
All right.
This segment of 100% Wild is brought to you by PH Outdoors. Check out the full line of the G Series and brand new M Series drills at phoutdoors.com.
All right, we got some new Rack Pack members too.
All right. Rack Pack's over on Facebook, private Facebook group. All you got to do is type in our 100% Wild Rack Pack in the search bar and you'll find it. The new members this week.
None of these people seem real.
Rocky Dietz, Mike D's, and Lisa didn't say like nuts at the end. JC Jason.
JC Jason has got to be a radio personality.
I was going to say.
Well, that was back in the Casey Kasem. That's what we're thinking of. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Not related to JC Jason.
We're definitely old right now.
We need some new members. We need some shout outs. So please, wherever you're listening or watching the podcast, leave a shout out, leave us a review, 5-star, obviously.
Duh.
And those things help. You weren't on last week or the last episode. We had an emergency like podcast because Mark, he's out west turkey hunting with Wade and he had like 30, quick minutes to jump on. So we couldn't make it work with Tim's schedule. So anyways, it's like one of our most viewed podcasts so far because Mark got
crazy story.
Well, we put in the title, Mark got robbed because that's what Wade said. Like the truck got stolen with all their gear and gun.
Oh.
Yeah, they went into a gas station, but the dummies left the keys in it. And Wade's like, in Iowa, I leave my keys in all the time.
It's not Iowa anymore, buddy.
So, they're by those reservations out there. And, those are just kind of a higher crime, lower income areas. So anyways, the truck got stolen and we put in the title, they got robbed because that's what Wade walked out. And he goes, Mark, we got robbed, and so
the truck and everything was gone.
Oh
my goodness gracious.
A little bit of an update to that. I need to get with Mark again, but I think they did find the truck with the guy passed out in it. It had to be towed to somewhere. I don't know about the contents. I don't know if he wrecked it. I don't know if he was high or what, drunk or what. I don't know the details, but I do think they found the truck. I don't know what kind of condition.
That's
so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tune in.
Yeah.
We'll have an update.
Lock your vehicle, folks.
Yeah. Those key fobs are, you just put in your pocket.
Yeah.
So.
I lock mine in my driveway.
Yeah.
And you can't even see our house from the road.
I lock mine here because I don't trust the people that work here.
Well, hey.
All the kids next door.
Well, that's it.
Wee World.
It always cracked me up. Alan would get so pissed when their bubble bus would come.
He literally through the roof mad that the people next door to us, it's a child.
It's a center for kids with autism
and stuff like that. And so they had the bubble bus come every once in a while.
It's delightful for
Bubble
these kids.
bus. So
and so bubbles are, flying out of it and there's music,
whimsy and wonder.
And if we're downwind of it, he gets so pissed about it. It's like
they need to bring an ice cream truck.
Yeah, they do that too.
Oh well.
So
yeah.
Anyhow, all right. Well, we appreciate you guys making the trek over from Illinois, and we appreciate you sharing your stories with us. It was a good season for you.
Yeah, appreciate you having us.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Tune in next time. We'll probably have an update on my bear hunt. I'll be back from
that's right,
from Canada.
Yeah. Good luck on that, man.
Gonna have some poutine while I'm up there.
How you shooting?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of stayed sharp through turkey season, so it's not like I got a big ramp up. But I
good for you.
Okay.
Well, good luck. I'm pulling for you. Hope you guys have a great hunt.
Heck yeah.
All right. Until next time. Peace out.
DeerCast is completely updated and better than ever. Prep, predict, and pursue your target buck with our detailed maps, weather, and 14-day movement predictor.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV is brought to you by DeerCast Maps, waypoints, weather, virtual rain gauges, and more. Every tool you need to get ahead of your game.